But here's the fun thing that we get to do today. And I know some of you have already gotten there, and uh, that's not the regular Enterprise. This is the Enterprise NX-01, which I have now fully sourced free to play. Again, I know other people, if you were double pulling, you probably got this a month or two ago, probably 2 months ago at this point. That wasn't what I was able to do on this account just because of, how often I play and, can farm some of the other stuff. But we have now built the NX-01 on this account, and we're going to take her out for a quick lap around the block. I can check that later. Okay, thank you. But first things first, actually, I do have to do this. And actually go get some regular loot. We'll throw Mariner in there because I don't want that going on. Probably don't need Lorca either because Hull Breach isn't going to do anything for me in this situation. Give me data real fast. There we go. Oh, thanks, Glimmer. Welcome back. So we're going to go out here real quick and just take a quick lap through looking for some of this stuff. And in the meantime, let's pop over here and let's bring out the new ship and let's see if we have any components and things we can already upgrade. Not yet, right? Because I don't have any of the ship parts because I probably didn't get them. Alright, so the first thing that happens, obviously, when you build the ship is your refinery opens. And you get this handy-dandy little NX-01 refinery down here, where you can now trade additional Xindi scrap, which will give you the Delphic Expanse tokens. These are what you need to get in to go fight the Aquatics, which is the only thing that the NX-01 is really good for, is fighting Aquatics. But it does also give you additional uncommon, rare, and epic credits. And as you tier up the ship, those values do increase. But there's a nice little head start there, and you get one token. When you go kill the Aquatics, they drop these tech modules. This gets cashed in your second refinery here, which gives you additional currency for a third refinery turn-in, as well as the components you need to upgrade the ship. And these are what you use, those opportunity chips that I was just showing what you get. You have two options here for how to redeem them. You've got the safe option where you're guaranteed to just get small little smatterings of each currency. Or you've got the riskier one where you have the opportunity to get potentially higher amounts. But you also get the whammy in here where you just get 5 sometimes. And if you look at your drop rates, your unlucky pull is 30%. 30% being the exact same opportunity chance that you have of being auto-killed at the end of round 1 by one of the aquatic hostiles. And if we think about how often that happens, it makes you feel a little less good about trying to do one of these pulls and hoping you don't get an unlucky one. The lucky pull, 68%, you should get, which is just going to give you the middle one pretty often. The jackpot pull at 2%, you're almost never going to hit. So 2 out of 3 times you should get this one, and then the other time you should get this one. So basically, if you cash in 3 bundles, you should get 705 uncommon credits. And if you come back over here and you do this 3 times, well, that would give you 755. Actually, 765. So this seems like it would work out better. Now, granted, every roll is an additional chance. It has the same odds, so you could defy the odds and beat the house, and even though you're only a 68% chance to do it, you might roll it 100 times, and you might still hit all 100 in that 68% window and just get extra, extra, extra. Conversely, you could keep getting whammied and keep getting the 5s more than 30 times out of 100 in the long run. I personally don't like the Scopely gamble method, and I always just take, hey, this is a good amount of currency. I'm just going to take what's right here in front of me and be happy with that, because the odds, while it says that they're one thing, we've seen it in practice where that's not usually how it works out. PJ also takes the guaranteed currency. Average safe pull is better than the average risky pull. Risky might work better if you need rare or epic. Yeah. It's a little it's a little wonky for sure. And sure, once you get a little further into the process and you've developed your ship a little bit higher and you've got more of the research and stuff done, and you really are just sort of chasing, rares and epics for upgrades, or for you're at the point where you're not even doing, you've done all the upgrades, now you're just opening chests on a 2 day, 3 day, 5 day cooldowns where you're getting other resources and materials, not necessarily even trying to do like ship upgrades and stuff at that point. Then maybe going for the riskier bundles might be a little more worth it. But I think definitely in the early stages, just so you have consistent growth and progress, don't hold yourself back and take the guaranteed pulls. There's a chart Silvis made somewhere, breaks down the long-term payout of risky versus safe. Well, let's see if we can take a peek at that. Let's go to Silvis's charts on the STFC officer tool area. Silvis sheets, huh? What do we got? Syndicate progression, officer tier up costs, prime costs. Let's go to the charts index and see if we can find anything about the NX-01 refineries. There's a chart for it. What do we got here? Yeah, there's a bunch of different little charts, but maybe I'm not seeing exactly which one it is. Oh, there we go. There it is, I think. I think it's on this one. So down here, your safe versus risky. Here's what your options are. And then over here, there's a risky average. So at tier 1, your risky average looks like it says it's coming out slightly higher for uncommons, but coming out lower for rares and epics slightly. And it looks that way as we're going all the way through them here. It looks like the uncommons over the long run, you might have a chance of getting a slightly higher amount and payout amount, but the rares and epics you're going to actually get slightly lower over the long run if you did 50 or 100 pulls, kind of where your breakdown would be. So kind of supports what we were talking about there a little bit, although I'm not even sure it's worth it for the uncommons, but I'm not double checking his math right now. Been told if you have enough to do safe and risky while waiting for the cooldown, it's worth going for. Isn't there a cooldown on the chest? So let's see what we're talking about here. No, there's no cooldown. You can run off as many of the regular refinery ones as you want. The special opportunity chests, this one might have a cooldown. This is where you get extra credits here. If you kill the battleships with the NX-01 in the aquatic space, the aquatic battleships, every one you kill gives you, I think it's 10 tokens. I think you get more of these as the higher level ones you kill and whatnot. And there's a strategy for farming the lower level ones. But your ship has to be a certain tier, and you need a max Titan fortification. And then you're going to use Pike, Moreau, and Harrison, or Pike, Harrison, and Data. Your whole goal is to kill the aquatic battleship, the level 40s, and just cheese them and take them down in the middle of round one, so they can't even get to the point where there's that 30% chance of them using the go home cannon on you. But you have to have the ship up a few tiers first before you can do it. I think it's got to be at least like tier 5 or tier 6 before the ship itself is doing enough base damage that when you add all the other enhancements and stuff to it. And I think you also need, I think for the one crew using Data, I think he's got to be like tier 4, if I remember correctly, to try and pull that off too. So we'll see if we can't get to that in a little bit here. But right now what I do need to do is pick up a couple of kills with these guys. I'm not seeing any surveys, so somebody must have come through here recently and taken these all out. But we'll go ahead and just kill a few of these guys, just to make sure I get enough to open that chest. Larotka agrees there is a cooldown on the rare one. Yeah, I thought so. Special is a 3-day cooldown. Okay. Wondering if the new Strange New World officer with shield mitigation lowering could become part of those crews. Well, that's kind of what Harrison does, right? Harrison bypasses 70% of the shields in round 1, and your goal is to kill them in round 1. Well, 60% at tier 1. Mine's tier 2, so he does 70%. And obviously, if you have him higher than that, it's even better. Increases your chances of winning just by putting more damage straight through to the hull. But Harrison's another one who's very tough to source. Even with them adding him to these god-awful enhanced elite recruit pack thingies, and him being in here, you know, your odds of getting him are still fairly low. You get 8 shards. At best, you'll get 4 rares. Most likely, probably only going to get 3. And there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So there's 11 rare officers in the pack. You're probably only getting 3 rare shards per pack pull. So you've got a 1 out of 11 chance that you're rolling 3 times. So you've got 9% basically to get him. And then you need, you know, quite a few amount of shards to actually level him up and things. And these are very expensive. Very, very expensive to source. So again, it's kind of a thing where by the time you get him, you're not really using him anymore, or, you know, you're so far down the line in the game that you have nothing else to spend your Federation credits on. And you're like, well, I guess I'll just keep opening these packs, because what else am I going to spend my credits on? And there are no lucky pulls in those packs either. Yes, those recruit packs do not have any lucky pull chances, which makes them even more difficult. Now, you guys were talking a little bit earlier about another advantage of the NX-01, which is the peeking ability, which is very helpful for peeking into token space to see if like there's mining nodes open and available before you waste a token going in there. I see people, we're talking about using it when people are doing like deep space armadas. You'll peek into the system so you can see where the armada is and then just click your ship and send it to it. That way you can walk away from the computer for the 7-minute flight time or whatever and not have to worry about, oh, well, let me make sure I make it back in time for whatever I'm doing. So when my ship gets there, then I can go join the armada. People often did, oh, hey, survey's up. Yay, go get it. Go get it. Uh, we're also discussing using it if you're trying to relocate your base to a deep space system. You peek into the system so then you can see everything, and then you can click on the planet and just relocate your base out there. So the peeking ability does have some good uses. It's also definitely helpful during incursions sometimes as well. Instead of flying to all these different systems looking to see, like, hey, who forgot to move their base? Let me take a look and see what's going on. You can kind of use the NX-01 ability to maybe while you're working in one area, kind of sweeping through Klingon space, you can peek at some systems in Romulan area and save yourself the trouble of flying through them all. So, and if you are hunting survey ships, it's yeah, is it 30 minutes, 45 minutes, somewhere in that range for when they respawn. So if you happen to see somebody in here killing them, well then you know, hey, okay, they just killed them. Let me come back in 30 or 40 minutes and see exactly if anything has respawned yet. Is that guy actually there, or is that like a ghost? Oh, maybe he's actually there. Oh, he left already. So he's ahead of me. So we'll actually go work our way backwards here. Good morning, GP. Welcome on in. The new crew is great for PvP. Okay. Glad you are having fun using that. I am going to go ahead and do this so at least I get an officer slot unlocked here. Now, with the aquatics, there is another handy dandy little chart here which I'm going to pull up. This is the Leslie punch-up crew. It's a cheese crew, if you will. If you can survive the first round, Leslie will keep you alive forever while burning, while take the hostile down. You'll die after the battle, but win the loot. So punch up as high as you possibly can. Obviously, the more officer slots you have, the better it's going to be for you. Most people recommend using Nero over Giorgio for this because although Giorgio can proc in round 1 and Nero does not, because Nero requires you to hit the target as after you fire weapons that he can trigger burning. But over a longer round fight, because of the number of weapon shots and things that you have, Nero should keep it up more consistently over the long haul. And if you are going 50, 60, 70 rounds, even with Giorgio maxed at 75 or 80%, there are certainly opportunities and times in the fight where she'll miss 2 or 3 rounds in a row, triggering. And then there's no burning on the opponent for that time, so you're doing very little damage. So the whole purpose of this is that you're going to hit one big battleship, hope that it's not the 30% opportunity, time where you get the go home cannon done to you. And then the fight will just continue. Leslie will keep your hull health up. Moreau will boost Leslie's ability and lower their ability, their stats. So you'll have higher mitigation. And then the burning will really do the bulk of the damage, and you'll win the fight in 60 or 70 rounds. If you have the favors and things like that, you can get a big chunk of loot available, and as we saw in the NX-01 refinery here, that tier 1 aquatic there needs 50,000 for the pull or 220,000 for a double chest pull. And if we go back and look at our chart here, 220,000 would be punching up all the way to a 48. But if I can kill 148, I can do a double pull. And to do that, I would need 10 million hull health. So that's the other thing to keep in mind too, is go look at your ship. Based on your research and things, what are we starting at? I got 23 million hull health at tier 1 because of my other research and things that I have boosting this. Which means if I go back to the chart, 23 million hull health, I should have no problem with a 50, possibly even a 51 or a 53. 53 is kind of pushing it. I'm kind of right up against the edge there. But even if I can kill a 50 or a 51, I mean, realistically, if I can kill a 51, that's basically 4 days worth of refinery pulls for one kill. So as long as I don't get slammed with the go home cannon, even if I happen to fail the second or third time I go, I'm getting 4 days worth of pulls every time. Again, you have to have the favor for that to get the maximum loot. But that's kind of how that whole strategy works there. I'm a little surprised I don't have anything to upgrade this. I would have thought I would have gotten some of it from like a battle pass or something, but maybe it was all on the paid track. Yeah, the 53 is a little opportunistic to try and punch up that far with just the tier 1. I don't think I would go that far. I think I would go for like a 48 or a 50. And the other thing to keep in mind is I do want to double check this real quick. Is if we look at the aquatic hostiles, let's just say we go look at, a level 44 hostile here. Ship has 10 shots per weapon, and all of its damage ignores player shields completely. This is what they did to basically make sure that the only way you can do this mechanic is with the NX-01. Because the NX-01's ability blocks 9 of their shots, it lowers them by 9. So instead of being 10, it's 1, and this one here, instead of being 9, is 0. This one does, the aquatic hostiles do still lower critical hit damage, so unless you have a critical hit floor buff, you're not going to want to take Q for this particular fight. And then you also have this. The start of combat has a 30% chance to fire its heavy artillery weapon on the 5th weapon of each round. This is the one that auto kills you. And this is weapon number 6, right? This is this big 20 million or 20 billion strength weapon that completely ignores shields and whatnot. That fires 9 times weapon number 6. So this is basically everything that they could do to make sure that nobody could use any ship other than the NX-01 to do this mechanic. High G5 players or even early G6 players couldn't just bring one of their big-ass ships in here and lay waste to some of these things because of just the overpowered nature of these weapons here. But you do still want to take advantage of, or make sure you are not using criticals unless you have the research done for the crit floor prime. So field training, that's something else I forgot to mention. Thank you for bringing that up, Patrick, and hello and good morning to you. Francisco, first time chatting. Okay, welcome on in, being here. Still never had the crew work using Benga and the Kirks and hit the 41s. I have none of those new officers, so I can't tell you if that works or doesn't work. But obviously, if it's working for you, Bel Air, keep going with it. Can I show chart again? You want the punch-up crew chart? Is that the one you're talking about? GP, you want this one again? You want to take a screenshot of it? You're welcome. And yes, obviously, if you do have like Neelix maxed out, where he's gonna hit burning all the time, you can replace Nero with somebody better. If Neelix isn't as high, if he's only like tier 2, tier 3, you can also consider taking him in that 4th slot just as a backup plan. You know, maybe for those opportunities where Nero might miss, maybe Neelix happens to proc that round. Same thing with Giorgio, which if you're swapping either one of them out. It does also depend a little bit on the tier. Nero's more likely to be an officer you've upgraded because he's so readily available in the early stages of the game and has dedicated sourcing through the Romulan recruit packs. A lot more narrow sourcing, shall I say. So he's a little easier to tier up. But if you're Giorgio, you know, if you've invested in her between the Discovery and the transporter patterns, you know, and you've kind of ignored Nero, then Giorgio might work better for you. Not all crews are created equal. But I did forget about the field training. So let's go into here for a second, because I do believe there are some field trainings. Yep, NX-01 does have its own thing right here. And the first one right here is to build it. Construct the Enterprise. Bam, built it, done. What do we get for that? Hey, we get 160 of these, plus an extra token, plus some Xindi scrap currency to do some extra refinery pulls, and the choice opportunity chip. So some good stuff going on here. Oh, actually, that claimed all 3 of them. All right, well, so much for that plan. We can go look at this. Nope. This is, you may have worked on some of this already, defeating other Xindi hostiles and then spending your scraps in the refinery while you were waiting to build your NX-01. So you got a few of these bundles right off the bat here. We move on to stage 4, and this is killing the Aquatics. You got to kill 50 of them. If you want to just try and get the field training done, you can just go kill some level 40 interceptors and just try and grind out 50 of them if you can. And then you'll spend your tech modules to complete this one. You can use your NX-01 ability to peek into 10 systems. That one's pretty easy to do. And then spending your chips and defeating Xindi hostiles and spending your credits, not overly hard to do, and should have a bit of a head start on some of this stuff by the time you get there. Your rewards, you've got Archer shards, you've got parts to upgrade the ship, you've got credits to do more favors and things. So lots of other things here. Let's go look at some of those favors, by the way, now that the ship is actually built. Do I have enough to do any upgrades? Nope, still don't have enough to do any upgrades. Interesting. But let's go look at a few of those favors that now might become a little more useful. By the way, if you want to still keep building, you can build the second one if you want. I don't know why you'd want to, but sure, go for it. But down here, we've got some of these. This is something else that also bothers me. On Apple devices and also when using BlueStacks, does anybody else have this where you only have 2 things across the screen instead of it going wider? I have that on my iPad when I play, and it's really annoying to have to scroll because there's only 2 things at a time showing up on the screen. So, you've got a couple of researches down here we're going to kind of go through. So you've got your NX-01 warp range, boosting the warp range of the ship. You will have to get this up a little bit if you do want to use the Leslie Cheese crew to get out to some of those 48, 50, 51 systems. You're going to have to get a couple levels of this done because the base warp range of the ship isn't all that high, but it does get a significant boost from the research here. You're also going to want to have this loot bonus one if you can get your hands on that. So killing hostiles with the NX-01 gives you significant bump in loot, which makes that a bit better. The third one here is when you're fighting the Aquatics with the NX-01. This just is where you're going to get that in-battle repairing, and this is kind of vital to your longevity and does allow you to eventually down the road replace Leslie altogether. If you have this up high enough where you're getting 20-25% restored every round, you won't necessarily need Leslie, and then you can also pair it up with the Explorer research that's up here. You've got the Explorer emergency protocol. If you have morale on your ship, you can get another 12 to 20% back if you're on an Explorer with morale. So if you put, a morale officer like Kirk on the ship, or if you have Harry Kim below deck, so now you're getting, 12 or 20% back, plus the other one giving you 20 to 25% back. So now you're getting 40+% back. And this is a repair. This is a permanent one. So you're not going to necessarily die at the end of the round like you would with Leslie. So you can keep fighting more and more hostiles per token. Takes a while to get there. You may have also seen people talking about the third linchpin to that to basically make your NX-01 super awesome, and that is with Picard Hugh. He's very expensive to get, but if you happen to unlock him, his below deck ability, he also restores, starts at 5%, and that scales up. So if you have him in one of your below deck slots, he can give you 20-30% more back. So now you're potentially restoring, 80 to 90% of your hull damage. Somewhere down the road, probably not going to be anything because of how expensive he is to source, but the strategy is out there, and it's at least worth mentioning here as long as we're talking about ways to cheese things with the NX-01. There is also a refit for the NX-01 here. This bundle gives you an additional expanse token, as well as Parsteel, Titanium, and Dilithium. So it'll let you go in and fight Aquatics an extra time per day, which is helpful in the beginning of the loop, but not as helpful, down the road. Because down the road, when you're going in and you're killing, one big hostile and you're getting 4 days worth of refinery pulls, well, that means you don't have to go back there for 3 days. So now you're accumulating 3 extra tokens, 1 each day for the next 3 days, if you're actively engaging in the loop. So by day 4, all right, I'm out of currency, let me go back. Unless the battleship hostile auto kills you 4 times in a row, which has happened, you're not going to need those extra tokens because you're just going to kill one. Even if it kills you once or twice, you'll still come out ahead. Take this and run with it. The extra Parsteel, Titanium, and Dilithium, always helpful to have extra resources, but not something as many people are hurting for. The G6 players do like it because it does give them additional Sigma materials, but you have to be up 61 plus and have the ship to tier 7 before that kicks in. So if you're newly acquiring this, the ship to begin with, you have a ways to go before you get it to tier 7. And of course, then again, that's only a G6 thing. It doesn't let you, stockpile stuff ahead of time. Now we did get this opportunity chip here, so I'm going to go ahead and cash this in and take some more currency. Get some more credits here. And see if we can't do any favors at all. What's up, Carissa? I even put out an announcement on Discord this time. So let's go back and look at our other researches here for the NX-01. I think there's only 1 or 2 more. We got loot, we got repairs. Oh, the last one here, and we got the warp speed one. The last one here is the opportunity chip boost, which is very expensive, requiring epics. This one gives you more opportunity chips that get dropped when you do your turn-ins. So it'll help you do extra refinery pulls to get more credits. Again, you're spending the credits you're getting to buy into the loop, so then the next time you do it, you're getting a little more out of it. So in the long run, after you've invested into this for a while, you'll start to come out ahead with, hey, I'm getting more. I spent 5 or 10,000 of these epics, but now here I am 2 or 3 months later, and I've made those back plus more. But this is certainly one that does take a while because it starts at a high cost and it's epics, so definitely a problem there. Let's look at the NX-01 real quick. The base warp range on the ship, not the greatest. I'm at 144, and that is with using I already have some research that's already boosting my warp range, so it's probably only like 125 or 130. I could look it up in stfc.space, but I'm being a little lazy right now. NX-01 refit is the key to get that grind sorted. Again, I only see it being helpful in the beginning of the loop. Once you've been doing the loop for a little while, you're going to have an abundance of Delphic tokens. Like I think my main account, I've got like 25 of them just sitting there because I go in every 3 or 4 days, I pop a big one, and I'm good for a while. And as long as I don't get whammied a couple times in a row. Obviously, if that does happen, it is going to slow you down a little bit. Let's go ahead and do this. We can do a double pull now. Get some extra of those. And I think I got enough to do one of these. Yeah, there we go. Get some more credits. So we do need to get, because that first warp range here at 144, I can't even get to the level 44 system. So I do have to invest to get a little further out. 180, 190, 200 to get to the 50 system. So that would still only require one upgrade, which isn't bad. If I want to go further than that, I'm going to need to do multiple upgrades to the warp range. It is helpful, especially for starting bigger armadas. If you don't have, Voyager leveled up high, you can get the warp range on this ship up higher than that, higher than Voyager. So if you want to start some big deep space armadas and let other people do the heavy lifting for you and just take the starter's chests, you can use the NX-01 to do that for you. Did I already do the first level? I did already do the first level, so I already got an extra 50, so it's actually even lower than that. So it's probably, what, like 75 or 80 for the first, probably 80 for the first warp range. It's base warp range. And then I already have this adding 50, and then I already have the warp particles, which are adding another 6 or 8 warp range to it as well. So maybe it's 80 or 85. So we're going to go ahead and do one more of this. That'll get me the extra 50. So now I should be at just under 200, and now it's already switching to epics. So I can probably only get to the 48s anyway with that warp range for right now. I will also take the repair one, because everything else here requires epics to do, to upgrade. So since I have some rares right now, I guess we'll take the repair one. So now I get a little bit of hull health back every round. I get 5% hull health restored. So that should help keep me alive a little longer, and I can upgrade that one more. Or twice more. We'll take it up to 8%. That'll help me live a little longer. Alright, let's put our crew on, and we'll go give this a shot. Now again, because we're only basically fighting at tier 1 here, We're only going to have one below deck slot to work with. Names. So we want Leslie. We want Moreau. Every time I hit, I've got a 40% chance. Okay, let's go with that. And then for my one below deck officer, do we think we want Paris for mitigation? Do I want Tendy for more hull health? I don't know that Tendy's going to give me enough hull health to make a difference, to be honest, since it's only tier 1. Let's see. Let's just see what we got right now. So let's see what our hull health is. 24.83 million now that I've added some officers who went up a little bit. Let's see how much of an impact Tendy is making. And which tier is my Tendy? My Tendy is tier 3. So she's adding 135%. So we were at 24.8 million, I think I said. We swap her in there. Now we're up to 25.5 million. So I gave myself a little bit of an extra cushion. Okay. Can I make it to the 40? I can make it to the 48s. Okay. Oh, I can't make it to the 48. That requires warp 200. I'm only warp 195. So the aquatics actually have a slightly higher warp range than the base system. So the best I can do is go after 46s. Okay. I've got 4 tokens, so we can give it a shot. Let's go after a 46 and see what we can do. Did I claim my Syndicate XP? No, not yet. Carissa, congrats on winning your research event and unlocking your fleet commander. While they're flying out there, today's event is threat reduction, so kill swarms or Borg probes to finish up that. Use interceptors to kill some stuff, and that'll also complete things for you. Okay. Our ticket events are back. Let's see if we can start anything here. Start armadas, okay. Or give helps, sure. Crystal mining, which I think I'm already doing, awesome. And last one is also to just kill hostiles, but you get bonus points for killing swarms. If you wait an hour, you can kind of overlap 3 events, because you can kill swarms for your ticket event, kill swarms for your threat reduction, and kill swarms for your Swarm Sunday event, which we'll swap out here in 47 minutes. Yep, great minds think alike. So it is a bit of a longer flight time to get out there. No Syndicate event today, so I can go ahead and claim these while we're waiting. We are, I think, having a Syndicate event. I think it's tomorrow or Tuesday. There is a second Syndicate event. It was in the announcements. I think it's Monday. The second run of this event is scheduled for later in the month, currently targeting July 22nd and 23rd. So, yes. Now, it may be another quantum syndicate event, which hopefully is not the case, but hopefully it's more of just like the traditional heroic syndicate event where some of us might actually be able to hit the first milestone. Now, people often ask, what's the whole point of even doing any of this NX-01 stuff? The refineries are good to help source some of the officers. Also, it's good for sourcing the X-Borg tokens, which can get you some additional researches. It can also get you later in the game, you can do this for additional bundles for sourcing older officers or getting additional resources for artifacts, forbidden tech upgrades. You can also do these mega chests here, which will then get you dolomite particles. There's a G4 and a G5 one. They both require epics to do. So if you're further in the game, this would be an opportunity to get 50 dolomite particles. I think this has a 5-day cooldown on it. So 20 in this chest and 30 in the other chest for right around 850 epics every 5 days. But it's getting you 50 dolomite particles, which then you can use to upgrade a lot of those multi-level primes. So there's a lot of opportunities there for things like that. Speaking of dolomite, let's take those 10 particles there. And we can't get this yet because my rep I've been ignoring because there was no reason to really upgrade the rep. Alright, so now that we've made it all the way out to our system here, let's go try and hit one of our big old battleships here, a level 46. We're going to keep our fingers crossed. I don't know where he's flying to. He's flying to the wrong spot, but hey, there you go. Alright, so we got him. Excellent. Now you're wondering, why did I die? That's the Leslie effect. So Leslie temporarily restores hull health, which we'll look at in just a second while we're repairing. Similar to Kirk, right? Kirk and other officers that give morale. Morale boosts stats. Stats can sometimes have an impact on hull health. When the fight ends and the morale goes away, those extra stats go away. Therefore, that extra hull health goes away. And if you were close to dying, you now suddenly blow up and you're like, why did I blow up? I won that fight. It's because of the background effect that morale can sometimes have. Leslie works in a very similar manner to that. So as you see here, at the end of the fight, I have 39 million hull health left. But Leslie's ability here, so he's restoring hull health. He's not repairing hull health, which is the difference between him and those X-Borg favors that repair it. The repair is a permanent fix. Leslie's temporarily patching it and holding it together, with duct tape, and then poof, it all goes away. So as we see here, I got 158,000 from the kill, plus an extra 600 of the old ones. And I also get a chest for killing a level 46 here, and that particular chest has another 10,000 in it. So I get 168,000 out of it. Okay, not bad. I also get one of these rare, or 10 of these rare choice opportunity chips. And I think you need 30 to do a turn-in for that. So that went okay. But I can't do a double pull yet because I think I need 200 for a double pull. So we're going to have to go back and try our luck again. If I had slightly higher warp range and I could get to the 48 system, because you need 200 for that, I'm only at 195, then I could do a double refine. So right now here, my Aquatic exchange, I could do the 50 for 3 days and just be happy with that. But if I want to do double pulls, I need 220. So we're going to try another one here. Also, the special opportunity chests that we were talking about, where you get the big chunk of extra credits. You need 30 for this. You have to kill 3 battleships. Farming these chests and doing extra pulls on these is what the whole strategy that people were talking about of killing the low-level 40s using Pike Moreau and Harrison, or Pike, Data, and Harrison, uh, to kill the 40s in the first round before they get to the end of the round and have an opportunity to use that go home cannon. But you have to have the ship tiered up a little bit. You have to have those officers tiered up a little bit. And that's more of a down the road strategy to help you then further accelerate your growth on it. But you have to be a little patient until you get there. So Francisco, you're learning a lot from the stream. Thank you for coming in and watching. Be sure and hit that follow button if you haven't already so you can find your way back. I stream 3 days a week. Nick Sue, thank you for the follow. You're also going to see stream elements pop up from time to time again with links to my YouTube page, where if I talk about a very specific topic like this one right here, usually I'll clip this section, so basically the last like 45 minutes or so, where we're talking about the NX-01, and then move it all over to YouTube, so you can always find it there later. If it's just, our normal stream and things like that, I kind of just let that go. That'll be on here for 2 weeks. It's saved on Twitch, and then after 2 weeks, Twitch drops them off the save space. But again, if I highlight something specific, like, hey, I got the NX-01 and here's how it works, that's usually saved on Twitch for longer than that, and it's also moved over to YouTube, so you can watch it there as well. Did we start our ticket event already? We did, right? I started my ticket events. Yes, I started my ticket events. Okay. I didn't want to move these miners and then kind of screw myself out of doing that. So there's that ticket event done. Alright, so now we can move on and we can try to kill another of the battleships. Now, only the battleships have the go-home cannon, so keep that in mind too. If you're new and you're just trying to get some kills done and you just want to farm, lower level ones, take a different crew than Leslie, because you don't need him to kill Aquatics. You only need him to kill the battleships. And we'll get to that. We'll do another run in just a second with a regular crew. And you can go farm lower level hostiles. And that'll just, hey, take some guaranteed things. You're not getting the big draws that the higher level ships are giving you. But we managed to kill that one again. Probably got the same amount of currency. Yeah, 155k. Now, in this particular case, because it doesn't look, the fight went 78 rounds, because it doesn't look like my hull health is ever really in danger here of dropping significantly low, I probably don't need Tendi. And I know I don't need Paris because I'm living through the fights. So I probably could put the Doctor below to get an additional loot bonus, which maybe we'll try right now and just see what a difference he potentially makes here. Let's go below deck ability and find the Doctor. And we'll swap him in for Tendi. And let's go back and try and kill one more level 46. And while I'm doing that, I'll take advantage of this now. Now I've gotten over 300,000 materials, so now I can do a double pull. That gives me 300 things now, ceramic composite materials. So now I should be able to do at least one component upgrade. Plus I got 2 of those choice opportunity chips. So now I can come over here. This has a handy dandy little slider. So if you have a whole bunch of these, all stocked up. You can use your handy dandy little slider, spend them all at the same time. Bam, we just got some extra materials there. And that would probably be enough now that I could come back over here. And if I had been paying attention and thought about this ahead of time before I sent the ship back out, I probably have enough epics now. Actually, I do have enough epics that I could do one more warp range upgrade, and I could move up to punching up against the 48s. But I did not anticipate that. Since I've already sent the ship and it's already on its way, it's already used the token. But I will do this upgrade now. It's going to move my warp range from 100 bonus to a 200 bonus, and that's going to give me access to a couple of higher level systems. So now I can try this punch up crew against 48s, or maybe even as far as going all the way to the 50s, where I'm going to get a lot more loot from the chart we've looked at earlier. Francisco, thank you very much for the subscription at tier 1. Very much appreciate that. Bud says, I always put out great info as the Ops 54. You try to watch all of my content. Thank you for that. I appreciate you saying so, and I appreciate you watching the content and coming back week after week. Terrier says that the refit helps you grind the battleships much sooner. Glad I focused on it early for sure, getting much more credits. If you have extra tokens, you probably aren't doing the battleship grinds. It's a fair assessment. No, I don't do a lot of grinding anymore in this game. I don't prioritize spending that kind of time in game anymore. Because, well, Scopely's made too many loops and too many grinds, and there just isn't enough time, and I don't want to spend 12 hours a day doing stuff anymore. I did that for a while, and it no longer appeals to me. All right. So we were getting about 155 before. Let's see if hopefully we kill this one. But as you can see here, the regular ones are still similar strength, but they drop a lot less in terms of loot output. Only getting 5,000. As opposed to the battleships, which are given, you know, way more. So having the doctor, I got 165. So I got about another 10K out of it, which over a longer period of time could certainly add up, make a difference, and perhaps roll things forward a little bit for me. And there's another, now that I've killed 3 of them, now I've got enough to do a rare opportunity one. So your NX-01, these refineries have a daily cooldown. So you can do both of these every single day. So that's what, you know, now I've got enough to do a double pull tomorrow, and then I'd have to come back. That would take me down to 20, leaving about 60K left. I'd have to come back on Tuesday. But if I kill one of them and get another 160 plus the 60K I have left, I can do a double pull then as well. So I only have to spend 1 token on, so I spend no tokens on Monday, I spend 1 token on Tuesday. So that's how I start to accumulate extra tokens. Obviously, if you can go for the refit and you want to invest your epics into that, by all means, go for it. That'll give you the opportunity to do more of these chests if you go farm the lower level battleships, which is what we're not going to farm the lower level battleships yet because our ship isn't quite to that capability, but even just being able to do that and get more of these. This is a 3-day cooldown, but you do get a nice little chunk of credits for it. Yeah, it's a 3-day cooldown on that. And this one also has a 3-day cooldown, and they're both separate and independent of each other. So if I went and killed some more battleships now and got more of these, I could also come in here and do the risky pull as well, which is what people tend to do, why they do the farming mechanics that we've talked about. So, all right, last token. I've got one left. How are we going to use it? Let's look at our field training right here. So, defeating Xindi aquatic hostiles using the NX-01. Well, that would be good if I can find a way to kill 40 of these. So I want to kill interceptors now because I want to try and advance this. If I do so, I'll get ship components here. I'll also complete this one and get ship components. Then I can progress, because I've already done this by spending the tech modules, doing those refinery pulls. So this is going to get me even further. And I can start burning the NX-01 ship ability to try and advance this one a little bit. This one's going to hold you up a little bit, spending the opportunity chips. This one will slow you down a little bit. And then the Xindi hostile one here at the end, this counts either the regular or the aquatic. The aquatic do count extra, though. I think they're, what, 5-1? Hostiles must be over level 40, right? You can go farm the old ones, go kill level 41s. You have to kill the aquatics using the NX-01, but you can kill either hostile. But I think the aquatics are either 5 points apiece or 10 points apiece. It doesn't tell you here, but I know that they announced it somewhere that you do get additional points if you go into the systems and use the NX-01 to kill the aquatics. The regular Xindi hostiles that you can kill with any ship are 1 point apiece. I just forget whether it's 5 points or 10 points. If anybody remembers, feel free to point it out and correct me. And then obviously spending your credits here will get you some other stuff there. But let's go ahead and we can do... Oh, and now my game froze up. Well, we had been running pretty good, so the fact that it hadn't frozen up yet was pretty nice. Let's go ahead and reboot this real fast. And then we'll try our final little segment, which is just going to kill regular hostiles. While we're waiting for this, how's everybody's weekend going? You guys having a good time? I'm going to eat this piece of cookie that's been sitting over here. All right. That was actually not even just a cookie. That was a brookie, which is a combination cookie and brownie. That apparently is one of the new fads in baking, but pretty darn tasty. As far as first upgrades go, I would either do hull plating to gain additional hull health. As you can see here, getting actually a pretty large increase in hull health. So I'm going up only about 50,000, but with all the other research and multipliers, it's actually going up from, 25 million to 27.5 million. So this would be a good one to start with. The other one would be the cargo bay. Just so if you are fighting and killing those bigger hostiles, you don't end up wasting loot. So my base cargo capacity right now is 1.13 million, which if we go back to our little chart here, like if I were able to go all the way and punch up, which I have the hull health to kill a 53, I've got 27 million. I could technically kill a 53 if I had the warp range and stuff to get there. It would give me over 1.3 million in loot though, which would mean that 200,000 of it would just get wasted because my cargo would be full. So if I want to do at least an upgrade here and push this up to 1.5 million, that would give me a little more room. So now none of that material is getting wasted. All right, but now we need a real crew. If we're going to go fight and we're going to go kill interceptors, does anybody have any recommendations or suggestions for what they would use on just a regular NX-01? Are you taking 5 of 11 or a Picard data crew and just loot crewing it? Are you using Archer? Does he work on these? Destroying Xindi hostiles by 300%? Archer seems good, right? Archer with Tucker and Phlox, maybe? Doctor below deck. Lower their crit chance. Boost my critical hit damage, which isn't going to matter because of the floor. Lowering their critical hit damage as well. And then obviously just really, this is more just about the loot bonus here, right? I really just want this because I want to get 500% more loot. Because as we looked at earlier, the regular interceptors give very low amounts. Like really low. Like low. Compared to the battleships. Chris is saying Archer full synergy. Bond is saying use Picard data 5 of 11. I get more loot this way. Because of Archer's loot bonus, I'm getting 500%. Picard data 5 of 11 would be less, although they do give the isolytic damage boost. You forgot about the Archer crew, you need more coffee. Okay. Well, it is early where you are, so we'll forgive you for that one. So let's go with if you don't have Archer crew, right? If you didn't play when they came out and haven't sourced them yet, if you have the new Enterprise Picard and Enterprise data, with 5 of 11, they could be an option if you don't have any of them and you just have like 5 of 11. Perhaps Strange New Worlds crew with Pike well, you're on an Explorer killing interceptors, so Pike Spock for the mitigation. And then like 5 of 11 on the side or something. Could be useful. So we're going to go grind. So I think I need to do this field training. I need 41 kills. I don't think I'm going to be able to get all that in one run today, but maybe. Let's find out. And I can claim some of this stuff too. Just so those pips aren't there. Man, those pips, they just drive me nuts. Because I can see them, and I want to click on them and claim them. But I think this field training here, yeah, defeat aquatic hostiles. I need 50 total aquatics. So our goal is to try and kill as many of them as we can. Maybe I shouldn't have taken full loot crew if I was going for this. And I probably won't get it all here today. But even just comparing, if you scan one of these guys, what's a level 40 interceptor dropping for loot? 1,500. What's the level 40 battleship dropping for loot? 15,000. So that's why people punch up on the bigger battleships, because there's so much more loot available. With killing just the regular interceptors, we have a little more options and ways to play around with crewing. That actually hurt a lot. That hurt a lot. That took up way more of my hull health than I was hoping. I'm probably only going to get 6 or 7 with this particular grouping. How long did this fight go? I probably should have taken the doctor out and put Paris below deck because I'm sure my mitigation sucks. Well, it's not terrible, but it's not good either. 61%, so I'm leaving 10% on the table by not having Paris below deck and using the doctor instead. So for future references, maybe not all cheese right out of the gate. Don't get greedy on day one. Kurt, after watching this, you were just able to kill your first level 51 aquatic battleship using the Leslie crew. Awesome. Congrats on doing that. Pike Moreau Chen may also be better. Also a possibility there too. Well, these are interceptors, right? Well, they have a mixture of weapons, I think. Would you use Chen or would you use like Talon Kath? Let's see what kind of weapons they're using. Hostiles. These guys are called aquatic cruisers. There we go. So they have 3 kinetic weapons and 2 energy weapons. But the energy weapons aren't gonna, like this weapon's not gonna fire. That's the death ray. This weapon only fires once and then that's it, it's done. So as long as you survive it at the end of round 1, you're good there. So basically it's 3 kinetic and 1 energy weapons. So you're looking at, after round 1, it's these 4 weapons. Excuse me. These 4 weapons are the only ones that are firing at the after round 1. So realistically, well, I guess it's going to depend on how many rounds the fight is going. Because if your fight is only going a few rounds here, let's go back and let's close this for a second. You're probably still taking more damage from that one big weapon that you'd want Chen to reduce it as much as you can. So this is hitting for 208, 175, 115, whatever. So reducing these further with like a Talon or Kath would lower them a little bit, and they're going to consistently ping you and do hull damage and things like that with these little drips and drabs here. But it's this bigger gun here that's hitting me for 750,000. That if I had Chen and I was cutting it in half, I'd save like 350,000 damage to my hull and whatnot. So that would be, 10 extra shots with the regular guns. How long did this fight go? The fight went 16 rounds. So because my fight is going as long as it is, I would probably want Talon here. If I was doing more damage and ending this fight sooner, I could see making the case for Chen. Because, if the fight's ending in 3 or 4 rounds, the amount of damage you're saving on that one big gun that's firing at the end of round 1 is going to be more than the little amounts you save off the other weapons for the rest of the fight. The fact that my fight is going 16 rounds, though, those little dinks and paper cuts that are slowly killing me from the first 3 guns would get a lot better. And I would save more damage in the long run if I were using that. Where can I find the tables that I had earlier on the NX refines? Those are all on Discord. They are on It's Lube and Stewie Doo's channel, the STFC Officer Tool. If you go over to the STFC Officer Tool official Discord, which I'll put a link to in just the chat in just a second if you're not already on there, and they have this whole handy dandy little section down here on charts, and there's even an index. And this is where all the charts that Sylvis and Jules Verne and Blue Mandalorian and the team all work on constantly and put together for everything that comes out month after month. They're all housed right here, and you can just go through the index and find it, and then click on the actual chart you need, and it will take you right to where you need to go. So, oh, look, the NX-01 chart. Hit that little handy dandy button, bam, takes me right to the NX-01 charts, and now I can see all of them that are available for the NX-01 right here. If you are not already a part of this Discord, let me grab an invite. Oh, is it not going to let me invite people? Oh, nope. The maximum number have already been given out. Admins can manage the list of invitations. So I guess too many people have copied that. So unfortunately, let's see if there's another, if I can find a link. Welcome and invite link. Here we go. Let's use this one. This one should work. That's the one I wanted. There we go. So you can click on that one. You can join their Discord. They have the largest private Discord server of any content creators in Star Trek Fleet Command. And it's because of handy dandy little charts and tools like that. I'm very confident. Lube also streams a couple nights a week on Twitch as well, and his times may be a little more EU friendly for some people. Sure. Martok, thank you very much for the Twitch Prime subscription. Kapla. I appreciate that. Welcome aboard. The Aquatic Weapon 5 only shoots once, but it has a 100% crit chance and a big boost to crit damage. Let's go look. Yeah, I do believe it is a guaranteed crit, right? Oh, it didn't actually crit. It didn't actually crit. Maybe on the battleships it's 100% chance. But on the regular interceptors, it does not look like it crit. And actually, well, you know what? That's a thing there too. You know why I didn't crit? Because I have flux. So that's the difference. That's what I'm missing. Because I used flux, I gave me a 50-50 chance, right? Let's see if I check out one of these other fights and see if it happened to crit that round. Nope. Flox is doing his job. Good job, Flox. He lowered their critical hit chance for 45 by 45%. So they had a coin flip and came up tails a couple times. So that seemed to work out okay. Yep. So we're dodging the crit, which is nice. So good job, Flox. You earned your keep there. And if I had that extra 10% mitigation below deck from Paris, that might have worked out a little better. Got greedy, though. But even still, I still brought home another 75k loot. Not nearly as good as if we were hitting the big battleships, but again, also lower risk. Because there's no guarantee, there's no potential go-home cannon either, so. Okay. Anybody have any other questions about the NX-01 mechanics, loop, any of that while we're still wrapping up this content? Yeah, Lexel, we did that for the first 45 minutes of this content. If you were on time, you would have known. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. Yes, we were talking a lot about that earlier. Tell found this earlier, so here's some other options for crewing choices. Basic crew, incoming damage, lowering that, okay. You can also do Tucker and them to keep the loot bonus with with Archer and Tucker, and then Chen to lower the damage somewhat, so you don't take quite as much of a hit, but saves you a little bit of damage. If you wanted to go more of a loot crew option, there's your punch-up crew option. This tall crew here looks interesting, though I don't know. It would speed up the fight, I guess, if you didn't have Leslie and you couldn't keep yourself alive, or you don't need Leslie anymore because you've done enough of the other research and you've got like Harry Kim below deck giving you morale, so you're doing the constant repairing. This could be an option to just burn them down faster and take care of that and kill them even quicker. And then this is the one where you have to have your tier 5 NX-01 and you're trying to cheese them and take them out before they can even fire the big gun. You're using Pike to boost both Harrison and Data. Data's going to give you more isolytic damage, and Harrison is going to bypass their shields almost completely with Pike's ability, boosting him up a little bit. So you're basically, everything's just going straight through right to the hull, and you're just trying to pile on the damage and kill them in these like third or fourth shot. Um, Although typically to pull this strategy off, a lot of people will also need the Titan buff, the max fortification buff from a Titan to do this, to get the extra shots that you need. If your officers, like if your data's maxed tier 5, maybe you can do it without that, because you'll just do enough damage. Or if your ship is high enough tier, you'll just do enough natural damage. But most people, in that minimum tier 5, tier 6 range, you're not quite doing enough damage yet that you're going to need the boost from the max fortification buff of the Titan. It'll still give you a good 8 to 10 minutes at least, right, of killing stuff, so you can get quite a few kills in and can cheese the low-level battleships and stock up on those opportunity tokens. So thank you very much, Tel, for sharing that. I appreciate that. That's a very helpful little graphic. Leslie crew, battleship method, or even are effective fast ways to loot during incursions with the loot exo comp. Sure. Yep, don't forget that loot exo comp. That's a good call out there, Southpaw. Don't forget about that. Obviously, getting an extra 100%, 150%, especially when you're doing your punch up and you're already getting like 1,000,000 or 500,000 or whatever, depending on how far you're punching up, to then tack on that loot exocomp bonus and get an extra 100 or 150% on top of that. Can make for some very successful farming, and then you can skip the loop for a whole week. So, okay. Well, I think that'll about do it for NX-01 content. Thank you guys all for your contributions and discussions.